Alright, this video is solving equations where there's a variable on both sides of the equal sign. Usually we abbreviate that with just variable on both sides. Now, I'm going to start with the hardest one and work my way back. Now, it's just the hardest one I'm going to do because, well, you guys have trouble with fractions, and fractions can always be involved in this. So, we start distributive property. If there's anything to distribute, we start there. So that's negative 5m minus 15 plus 6 plus 9m. And we've got 1 minus 5m minus 6 plus 5m. Okay, next up is combined like terms. Well, negative 5m plus 5m is 0. So we've got 1 minus 6, that's negative 5. Over here, when we combine like terms, negative 5m's plus 9m's is 4m's. Negative 15 plus 6 is negative 9. So we add 9 to both sides. That gives us 4 is 4m, so we divide by 4, and m is 1. Okay, so we're going to do our check. That's 1 minus 5 times 1. Minus 6 plus 5 times 1 equals negative 5 times 1 plus 3 minus 3 times negative 2 minus 3 times 1. Now for these, you can treat them like they're two separate problems. So I'm going to go through and work out the left. So that's 1 minus 5 minus 6 plus 5 times 1. 1 minus 5 minus 6 plus 5. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 minus 6 plus 5. Negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10 plus 5. Negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here. Negative 5 times 4, 1 plus 3. Minus 3 times negative 2 minus 3 times 1. Negative 5 times 4 minus 3 times negative 2 minus 3. Negative 5 times 4 minus 3 times negative 5. That's negative 20 minus 3 times negative 5. Negative 20, negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. So negative 5 is a negative 5 because negative 20 plus 15 is negative 5. So it checks. So our answer is m is 1. 1 equals m. Okay. Now, we distribute. So that's negative 8 minus 4v negative 6v plus 8. Okay. Now, just like on the previous question, I can add 4v to both sides. I can add 6v to both sides. It doesn't matter how I start it. I can even add 8 to each side or subtract 8 from each side. Whichever way I want to start. Personally, I like to start with my variable, and I like to try to make my variable, the coefficient, be a positive. So I'm going to add 6v. Some people prefer to always bring the variable to the left. and move their constants to the right, and that's fine, as long as you don't make a mistake in your arithmetic. Now we add 8. Since we moved the variable first, we have to move the constant second. Okay, and so we divide by 2, so we get v is 8. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to clone it. Bless you, whoever you are up in the hall. Okay, so we got 8, so that's 2 times negative 4 minus 2 times 8 is equal to negative 2 times 3 times 8 minus 4. So, starting on this side, negative 4 minus 16, that's 2 times negative 20. So, negative 40. So, negative 2 times 24 minus 4, negative 2 times 20, negative 40. It works, so our answer is 8. Okay. Again, we start with the distributive property. Yep. And so that's negative 30x plus 24 plus x equals negative 3x minus 28. Now, when we combine, we get negative 29x plus 24, negative 3x minus 28. I'm going to add 29x. And then I'm going to add 28. Now remember, if you prefer, you could have added 3x to each side and solved it that way. I just prefer to have my coefficient positive. It really doesn't make a difference. Divide by 26. And x is 2. Not 2 is 2. X is 2. And so now the check. So it's negative 6 times 5 times 2 minus 4 plus 2 equals negative 3 times 2 minus 28. Well, that's negative 6 times 10 minus 4 plus 2. Negative 6 times 6 plus 2. Negative 36 plus 2. So negative 34. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 28 is negative 34. So I just finished the little equations. Make true statements. It's right. So x is 2. Okay. This one would be the same idea. Distribute, but there would be no like terms. So distribute, bring the variables one way, bring the constants the other, and solve. Okay. Now, no distributive property, so we just move to combining like terms. So we've got negative 11 plus 3 minus 5. Well, negative 11 plus 3 is negative 8. Minus 5 is negative 13. Okay, I'm going to add this x. Actually, I'm not. Just to show you that it doesn't matter, I'm going to add 13. So I get negative x equals x plus 10. Now I want my x's over here, so I subtract x. Since I moved the 13 to the right, my variable has to go to the left. And so this becomes negative 2x is 10, so I divide by negative 2. X is negative 5. Stupid thing, you're not writing. So, negative 11 plus 3 minus negative 5 minus 5 equals negative 5 minus 3. Well, that's negative 8 minus negative 5 minus 5. Negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. Negative 8 minus negative, that's keep, switch, switch. So that's negative 8 plus 5. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. And so it works. So our answer is negative 5. Okay, and then the most basic, my nice horrible handwriting. Okay, I'm going to add 1m to each side. That gives us 2m plus 1 equals 7. Subtract 1. 2m is 6. Divide by 2. M is 3. So that's 3 plus 1 equals 7 minus 3. Well, 3 plus 1 is 4. 7 minus 3 is 4. So it works. And so that's our answer. Now, remember, just because there were no fractions in the problems does not mean that the answer cannot be a fraction. These questions can include fractional coefficients. There's also a couple of special cases that I will talk about in the next class. Make sure you answer the questions that go with this.